What's up? Me again, ACM TV. This is Tech Corner. Today, we're joined by someone else.
Jay Picasso.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, what do you do, Jay? What's your thing?
I am a production and mixing tutor here at ACM.
What sort of pathways do you deal with here?
I look after the rap and MC pathway. I have looked after part of the production pathway, and a few other live instrument modules here and there.
Nice. So music theory, stuff like that.
Yeah, all of that.
Nice.
All
I'm
of
rubbish
that.
at music theory, so you could probably teach me a few things.
I don't know.
I got Jay in because we're going to be talking about our favourite pieces of studio tech. You've probably got your own, whether that's a DAW or it might even be a plug-in. But we've always got our go-tos. We've got things that we love, things that we can't do without. Desert island pieces of equipment. I'm going to go first. Mine. You seen that before?
Yeah, well,
Right,
I have, but not up close, to be honest.
It's good, isn't it? Wait, ready? Like, just like that, isn't it?
Hold on. Just like that.
Sick, isn't it?
Just like that.
Oh, don't mess about me. This is the MPC Live. This is a sampler, a synthesizer, a full-on DAW, pretty much, in a box. Doesn't need batteries, and it is probably my favourite piece of equipment ever. One of those things that, after buying it, you don't regret buying it. Now, the reason for that is because it's got pads and that. You can touch stuff. You can turn knobs. You're not sat there with a mouse, like, clicking stuff. Like, normally, clicking things means premeditation. If you want to click somewhere, you've got to go there to do it. So you need to have thought about it before to change a parameter. It's all premeditated. Whereas something like that, your hand could accidentally touch something. That happy accident, a lot of the time, ends up being one of the best things in the tune. Yeah. Pretty much because you didn't think it was going to happen. And now it has happened and it sounds good. Everyone's happy. That's my favourite piece of equipment. What's yours? Bam. NS10.
The NS10. What's not to love about this piece of equipment? It's my favourite go-to safe place mixing speaker. It was originally created for the home hi-fi system, and it was a terrible failure. But like in the early 80s, mixing engineers somehow stumbled upon it, probably because it was a cheaper speaker to acquire from a second-hand buy now. And they found that because it had such flat sound, such like lack of depth and body, that if you could get a mix tight on a speaker like this, then the theory was that your mix would stand strong on any speaker other than this. I got a pair of these a few years ago and I've never looked back since. It took me a while to get used to them.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much. It took me a while to get used to them, but I love them now. What do you think of them?
Hate them, mate.
Why do you hate them? What's wrong with them?
I don't know.
Why do you hate them?
Because I don't
Be
know.
honest. Be honest.
Okay, be honest, right?
Yeah, be
I
honest.
used those when I was in a mastering studio for a while, right?
Right.
And they were, like you say, the reason most people love them is the reason I don't like them. It's like, they don't sound good.
Yeah, well, no. Yeah, you're right.
Do you know what I mean?
And I get that.
Yeah.
And so I understand that, but it's for the same reason that I do like them.
This is
what I mean?
Yeah, it's the 50-50 thing. It's like
50-50.
Marmite. My boss used to call these Marmite.
Yeah.
Like, you either love them or you hate them. I just prefer to listen to something on a set of speakers that I like the sound of, that I'm used to.
Yes.
I do, however, understand the importance of the reference. So being able to jump back and go, let's listen to what it sounds like on an everyday, whatever person's speaker.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where I've gotten the best use out of it, because my other favourite speaker of choice would be from the Adam range. Mm-hmm. I used a X7s, I think, and lovely overall speaker. But shifting from that, which has such warm bass end and such crispy top end, this throws the mix completely out of sync with that. And so when I go back to this as reference, tidy things up, pop it back in the Adams, it just sounds even better.
Yeah, and like, because they're like that. Like, frequency curve is just all mid-range, isn't it? There's no bass, the top's a little bit... I mean, saying that, depending on the amp, because again, these are like passive speakers, so you need an amp for them.
That's right.
Depending on the amp, we used to use a company called Bryston, which is apparently like the NS10 amplifier, like the best one for it.
The favourite.
The favourite, yeah. There's some clones of these. Now, even though I said I hate these, I used to have the cheaper set from Studio Spares called the SN10.
Oh,
You see what they did there with the name? So they did it. It's not NS10, it's SN10. Yeah, I don't know how they didn't get sued. But I
Wow.
used to have those as a reference set. But the main reason I got them, to be honest with you, is just because it was a white cone in a black box, and it looks sick in the studio.
That's the thing, isn't it? Like every studio I've ever visited, really, like the bigger pro studios, they've got these sitting in the back, haven't they, somewhere?
Yeah.
And long before I knew what they were, I knew what they were.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just by the way they look. They are quite distinctive, I suppose. Something that they changed originally, because when they made this speaker, it was a hi-fi speaker, and they actually made it to stand upright.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why even on this one it's that way. But they then later on, and not for long, for a couple of years, they then produced actual studio models which they actually made to sit on the side like that, and that's where you see the logo on going that way.
Yeah, but they are the originals, NS10M.
These are the originals.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
But
these are the originals. Although sometimes finding an original cone is quite difficult, because the original ones actually had a really paper thin cone, and sometimes because of how old they are, they've had to replace the cones.
Yeah, because you just put in pencils for it.
Well, that's what I mean. Exactly, literally, exactly.
Yeah, or just being so annoyed at how rubbish they
I
sound.
mean, that. And if you want distortion on your music, then that's also a great way to do it. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, this is one of my favourite bits of tech.
Go-tos. One other thing, good tip about this, right? I mean, I don't know if you have one, but if you have one of these, using that as a kick drum microphone. Now, if you remember from last week's video, we talked about dynamic and condenser microphones, and I spoke about dynamic microphones basically being backwards speakers. That is probably one of the best sounding kick drum microphones I've ever heard. Have you ever seen anyone do that before?
Wow, I've never seen.
You ever seen
do
it?
that. No,
It was a shock to me. Yeah,
that is something that I'm kind of very interested to try myself.
mate.
out,
Honestly,
Do you know
it was
what I mean?
really good. Like it was. It's a studio. I think it's called Stakeout. A few years back.
Wow.
And they had that. Like I thought that looks like an NS10 cone. So yeah, it is. Well, what's it doing on a kick drum then? And he's like, well, it's just a really good kick drum mic.
Wow.
I thought whatever.
Wow.
Listened to it, and it was a very, very good.
And it
kick
was.
drum. Yeah, man. Really, really good.
Surprising.
Very surprising.
Surprising.
Crazy.
But perhaps again, maybe it's that mid-range that it's so good at, because obviously a good kick drum, you want to tweak that bottom end, but it should be a nice warm mid-range, shouldn't
Exactly,
it?
yeah.
So,
You need presence. You need a bit of kick. And
absolutely.
to be honest, I've only ever seen it on the outside. It's never been on the inside to catch boom. It's
Right.
always been just on the outside skin
Wow.
as a layer, and it's really good.
That's
good.
really interesting.
So yeah, yours is the NS10, mine is the MPC Live.
Yeah.
Two different choices there. I think that's quite good actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
very much
expecting
so.
you to bring maybe like a sampler or something like that.
Well, I had thought about it.
Yeah.
But far the go-to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
man.
even more so than the sampler. This is something that I can't not use on every single song I make. So
Yeah.
this was definitely where I would start.
So yeah, that's it pretty much. MPC, NS10. Cheers, Jay.
Cheers, Shea.
Nice one. Next week, more geekery. See you later.